Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Green Wisdom Health Show. I'm Janet Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Lewis.
And we are home of your low-cost lab work and very informative information. And we're going to come right off of doing a show about aging and do one now on your immune system called Scared of the Measles. Since there seems to be a big outbreak, we figured you guys would like to know what you might be able to do to boost your immune system to help keep those bad booger bears away. So we've had a lot of inquiries about it. We've got a lab test we want to talk to you about that we can actually see if you're still immune. And Dr. Lewis is going to tell us about why this is such a bad outbreak and what's happening to people that this is all coming about now anyway. So with that being said, let's get educated.
Yeah, I love the pressure she puts on me. Now, keep in mind, I never got to my notes on the aging show, so we'll probably revisit that. Hope I didn't get too offensive. I've noticed a lot of people lately that are being offended by all kinds of things that are taken, different than what they were put out. So, everybody just chill out there and, let's work toward getting healthy. Keep in mind, I'm not anti this. I am pro that. So let's look at what we should do, what can be. We can become much more. It goes back to the immune system, and there's so many things that you can do. Why is there such a large outbreak? Well, I think the media's making a lot more out of it than what it is. And I even had a doctor one time ask me if I was afraid of Ebola, and I've had other people say, well, are you afraid of the swine flu and the bird flu and all this? And it's like, well, God didn't give us a spirit of fear, and I have that up, on a post. God didn't give you a spirit of fear, but one of a sound mind and power, whatever that says. But I think if it's full of fear, that we shouldn't do it. And I'd be very, very careful about anything that provokes fear into your spirit. And I think that's another thing. We should pay more attention to our spirits. Let's go to immune system. There's so much that we have to talk about, and I think if you just boost your immune system, that it would be much, much easier to be less fearful of these booger bears. That's a word I like to use a lot, which would describe anything that might be scary. The thing about it is you have to understand the gut is called the second brain, and I was talking yesterday to a guy that's kind of sort of nationally known. He's an up-and-coming entertainer, and he kept talking about second brain. He understands it, and that's not even his field. Pretty interesting guy that he understands the complexity of the gut, and he's trying to get me to help his girlfriend. The gut actually makes about 9 to 10 times more neurotransmitters. Now, neurotransmitters, the happy hormones, and not just for happiness, but for memory. And it does much more than the brain does. So which is most important? Folks, it always goes back to inflammation and the gut. And, the gut, people say, but I'm taking probiotics and I should be finished. Well, no, you have such a challenge every day, things that challenge the probiotics. You want to take probiotics every day. You have to make your own, and I think it's crazy if you're not taking probiotics like we sell a lot of. So the reason it's so challenging, I read some research this morning about they're finding glyphosate, folks, that's the active ingredient in Roundup, they're finding it in things like the tubes where they're feeding babies that are having problems. They're finding it in this formula, who I will not name. Ladies, it's best, please, please, please do whatever it takes to breastfeed your baby. And I won't get too far into that. But if you're starting your kid out on formula, there's a real issue to that. Here, I've got some notes here. I guess I'm going to get back to it. Let's talk about immune development for a little bit. The immune cells have a really long lifespan. They have actually a memory from past infections. And that's where Janet was going to talk about. We have some people that says, well, do you have a test where we can see if we still have the antibodies against the measles because they were taking a trip and they didn't want to get vaccinated. And yes, we have that. And they came back still positive, still have antibodies for that. So your immune system does have a long memory, and your body's smarter than we are out of our mind.
That test that Dr. Lewis is referring to, because I know people are going, what's he talking about? I believe it's people that were vaccinated before the year 1957, supposedly got a extra few doses of something for the measles. I don't know. There were 4 parts to it then, I guess. And after that point, there were only 2 parts to it.
It was more effective back when, we were
the older
kids.
You were, right.
Yeah, ancient people like me.
But people that want to travel now, because I guess, they had this outbreak on a cruise ship where everyone got quarantined, and I guess they were going to have to take the measles shot unless they could prove they still had the antibodies to it. So that was her question. They were getting ready to go on a cruise and wanted to know if they were still okay. So there is actually a test. If you go on our website and click under our account on Ulta Lab Test, go to greenwisdomhealth.com and then click on the lab panels. You can type in a panel called MMR, that's Mary Ray, MMR panel for measles, mumps, and rubella titers. And it provides presumptive evidence of immunity to measles, mumps, and rubella for purposes of routine vaccination or for students at post-high school educational institutions and for international travelers. It's $60. We have a special price on it. That's why I say to go under our account. And there's an $8 draw fee, so it's like $68. And it will tell you whether or not this antibody is still in your system. And then carry those results with you if you're ever traveling, because if they want to give you a shot again, you can say, hey, this is still good in my system. So that answers many people's questions, I'm sure.
Yeah, and it really has been coming up a lot. But the immune system, it develops in stages. And at birth, one of the best, first, inoculation of the good bacteria happens when you are being born, if you were born vaginally. Now, the ones that have C-sections don't have that immunity given to them because of the difference in bacteria. So now some of the more forward-thinking doctors, and there's getting to be more and more of them, when they do a C-section, sometimes they'll actually place a sponge in the vaginal canal for a while. And then when the baby's taken out by a C-section, they'll swab the baby with it to give it the inoculation of the good probiotics. And it's really a crucial time, and parents need to make good decisions, and that's why we're here, trying to educate you so that you can make good decisions. And then you have to, make a good decision with your doctor about antibiotics and vaccines that also influence the immune system. So, number one, were you C-section or vaginal delivery? Okay, next, during infancy, it's incredibly important to breastfeed your baby, and don't get me on my soapbox about that. If you're giving them some of these things that I will not name, you're setting them up for all kinds of horrific problems. God, I'm sorry, folks. I'm just trying not to get into this, and I want to so badly, but I'm trying to be polite. So even if breast milk's not available, you want to maybe get a surrogate. So the question, are you breastfed or bottle fed? Then during the youth, and this is where a lot of people have a problem, when children are really young, it's really appropriate for them to have exposure to many allergies and many antigens. This challenges their immune system. And of course, you want to feed them correctly and fix the gut, which I'll get to in a little bit. But these challenges will help you develop a very diverse and robust immune system. Kids that play in the dirt are healthier than kids that are always sanitized. Kids that have pets have fewer allergies. So, go throw them in a mud puddle with their dog. That'd be good. Janet's looking at the dog now. So then you have to think, how many antibiotics have I had to treat infections, and has it been repeated? Very much, and I'm certainly not anti-antibiotics. They do a lot of good, but you really have to reseed your GI tract. And I've read studies that said it takes you 2 months to several years to completely reseed the gut after a 10-day round of antibiotics. So you have to get somebody that knows what they're doing and do it with a lot of intelligence and hopefully wisdom. Furthermore, on the immune development, as we get older, the young adults begin to make their own food choices, which can be scary. It should be more than a high fructose corn syrup drink and French fries. And it helps quite a bit if you've developed or helped your child develop a taste and give them fruits and vegetables. And sometimes they don't like that, so we just stir up deeper greens that actually taste really good and it's organic. But these choices will add to the challenge or add to the strength of your immune system. So, as an adult, that's where it gets more serious because we've had more decades to accumulate toxins. And then you get the hormonal influence or the fluctuations with the hormones, especially if you're pregnant. It gets crazy when you go through menopause and the decline of the reproductive years. Have this sweet lady up in Minnesota, and she would test, as she was through her pregnancy, and she'd worry about this and worry about that. I said, honey, when you're pregnant, all bets are off. These labs are going to go crazy. And she had a very beautiful little baby boy. I'm very privileged to get pictures from her about that. So the other thing you have to worry about, I shouldn't worry, but be aware of is your responsibilities. When you get into high stress levels and you don't have a way to deal with that and you engage in less sleep, these will help tip the scale toward a problem with your immune system and goes in many times to leaky gut. Jan and I are always experimenting with different things, and we have to make sure that it works and we feel good about it in our heart before we'll sell it. And I don't remember the name of it, but we've got a new one that's working like gangbusters on me for sleep. And what is it?
Botanical PM.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we don't have any in stock, but folks,
it'll be here in 2 days.
Oh, see, I didn't even know that. Mm-hmm. Janet runs the place, but it's working real well, and I don't wake up feeling drugged. And I've tried lots and lots and lots of stuff. We have other things that work real well, but this seems to be very well-rounded, and I like it. So when you're building your immune system, the health of it, some of the things, and I'm going to be very non-specific here, because it goes to fixing the GI tract, glutamine, which I like the GlutaShield, the immunoglobulins, which there's several of them, and probiotics. You have to do a lot of them. Janet gives me 100 billion plus every night, but it helps maintain healthy gut flora, immune system, and all that. The immunoglobulins actually will bind with the pathogens and help eliminate the pathogens. And some of them contain growth factors that actually rebuild and repair the intestinal lining. But the glutamine does that too, which is an amino acid. There's a big kick about turmeric or curcumin, and every company says theirs is the best. Personally, I don't have a clue. We have a couple of them here that I think are the best. And I experimented with one of them on a pipeline guy that's, hurting, had joint pain, exposed to toxins. I said, here, there's a brand new thing. Take it so many a day and let me know how it works. So he comes back in and says, okay, I'm ready to buy it now. I said, well, we don't have it in stock. We just experiment with you. You're our lab rat. He said, well, put it in stock. And that's the turmeric. Works not, it implies it's for joints and trauma. It's really not. It's for immune system. It's pretty incredibly absorbable, turmeric and curcumin. And don't fall for the old adage. They say, well, you got to take black pepper with curcumin, because what happens is you usually get allergic to both. So don't go the black pepper route. And vitamin D is very, very important. You want a multi-strain probiotic, and we do lots of that. I like arabinogalactin. We have that in one of our immunoglobulin. Some of the things that we sell with the immunoglobulins, and it has a arabinogalactin because that's an incredible immune system booster. Had a question the other day about probiotics and prebiotics, and the guy says, do you have something that has prebiotics? I said, and he asked about inulin. Yes, inulin is a really, really good thing. But folks, sometimes you're sold things based on buzzwords and baloney. If you're eating enough fiber, and it's soluble and insoluble, you have a place for the probiotics to live. Prebiotic is a fiber, so don't get all hyped up, oh, you got to go buy a prebiotic, because they're just trying to sell you something. Just eat celery and cucumbers and cauliflower and zucchini and broccoli and all that good stuff.
Maybe we should tell people the signs of an immune system problem. You guys that are our clients that already know what we do, most of you already know how your immune system is because you've done our low-cost lab work. Because on there we're able to see what your immune system numbers are. But there are new ones out here listening that they don't know that they even have an immune system problem. So some of the signs that you can tell without lab work is that you have very low energy. You have metabolic issues, like you're gaining weight and you can't lose it. And you're so tired you don't want to do anything about it to try to get it off.
I've fallen and I don't want to get up.
Right. You have digestive issues, gas, bloating, belching, not going to the bathroom every time you eat a meal within 30 minutes to an hour. That's for another day. Blood sugar issues, whether you get, because irritability is actually a sign of an immune system problem as well, but it can be a sign of blood sugar issues. So if you start out okay in the morning.
Or thyroid, or maybe your spouse is just irritating. I'm not sure.
But as the day progresses, you're into it a few hours and it's before lunch and you find you're getting a little bit irritable.
That's what they call hangry.
Hangry, that's right. In Texas, it's hangry. You might have blood sugar issues. Occasional restlessness. So,
yeah, that would cover most people that can't sleep. Not sleeping good's a pretty big issue.
And mild inflammation, joint pain, that kind of thing. You could have an immune system problem. So if you have any of those things and you're thinking, hey, I've got like all of these, or more than half, you might consider getting your lab work done and try to help prevent things like measles and that kind of thing from jumping on you.
Or having your immune system to where it can do what it's supposed
Correct.
To do. Some people are finding, well, I'm allergic to this, I'm allergic to that. Janet and I are entertaining a company that's going to test for allergies and antigens. Frankly, I've done some. I'm not really impressed with them, but some patients have found out, well, if I just eliminate these foods, I'm fine, and that's a good thing. I'm proud that they've gotten that far. But don't forget that you have to heal that GI tract. And I've had people say, I'm allergic to chicken. Well, after they heal their gut, they're not allergic to chicken, and sometimes it wasn't chicken anyway. It was the antibiotics or growth hormones or the arsenic that's in the chicken. So if you find you're allergic to this or this or this, for goodness sake, don't quit healing the GI tract, because that takes time and it will give you rewards beyond belief.
But your immune system, on lab, you're thinking, well, what can you see on there that's going to tell you whether or not my immune system's low? Well, we do 12 different panels of lab, and I know you're going, oh, my word, I've never had 12 different panels of lab. That's generally because your insurance company is not ever going to allow you to do that because they don't believe you need that. We like to not guess, and we like to see the whole body as a whole and what's happening. So if there's something wrong, we can go, oh, well, that's low because of this other panel we ran. So it takes the guesswork out. So on a CBC that we run, the immune system is right there on it. It's called a white blood cell count. You want to see if it's in optimal range, not just barely hanging on, which is where the lab ranges would have you as normal. So if you're not, at a 7 or an 8 on your white blood cell count, then you have a low immune system. There are so many people out there with underlying viruses or yeast that don't know that it's there, and so it's just dragging on their immune system. There's liver enzymes that's keeping you from detoxifying like you should be, which creates your body having an extra load. That's actually one of the most common factors that contribute to a weakened immunity is heavy metals, pesticides, herbicides. So that's all liver related. And then you get to your blood sugar that we mentioned. There's 2 tests on there for that. It shows the glucose. It also shows a 3-month blood sugar of an A1C. There's another test on there. We've got 3 tests. Insulin. So if you eat bad and the other numbers come back okay and you're going, hey, I got by with it. No, you didn't. Because on insulin, we can say you're getting by with it now, but it won't last forever. And then there's iron. We run a ferritin, a stored iron, because many people with weakened immunity have low iron. And they don't even know they do, and there's no way they'll ever get well with their iron levels staying low, especially women that are in the menstrual years. They're getting rid of more blood than what they're building up on a monthly basis, and so they're dog-tired, which creates their immunity being low. Thyroid being off, like Dr. Lewis said, 5 different parts of the thyroid on that test so that we can see if it's operating at an optimal level, not just barely making it. And then the big one, cortisol. Don't let your adrenals get blown, because stress creates the adrenals to go lower, and it brings your immune system down where you don't know how to get well. So if you have any of these things going on, there are ways around this. Start getting healthy. Start seeing what's happening. Take a proactive approach to your immune system to help ward off some of these bad things that people are coming down with. It's you'd see way less people coming down with things if they were healthy, and that's what's wrong.
That's what that entertainer was worried about, is blowing his adrenal glands. And I said, I can look in your eyes and tell you they're already blown.
But we do have a few questions I want to make sure we get to, because we really appreciate you guys asking them. We just love this. It's so much fun to get the questions that we wouldn't think of and answer it for you. Like we have Martin S. that asks, can you suggest anything that can help mitigate or minimize the damage probably being done to my brain due to my work schedule?
Yeah, and by the way, Martin, you were supposed to call me so we can discuss this, but you may be sleeping right now. Well-timed melatonin, we have different types. I think the brain stuff, you got to go a really good B12 with activated B6, the P5P, but most people don't know. Oh, if you don't have enough zinc for immune system, you can't convert P5P. We have phosphatidylcholine, phosphatidylserine. We have all sorts of things. Janet takes a lot of brain stuff. I think she gives me a lot. I'm not sure, to keep me working better. But yes, we can definitely help you with that. So go ahead and give us a call, Martin.
And then Brent H., I think you might have answered part of his question earlier, but he wanted to know about digestion and absorption, prebiotics and probiotics.
Oh, yeah.
And what would you recommend to grow a healthy gut filled with a variety of beneficial bacteria?
What would I recommend? I would recommend consistency. Janet actually bought me the thing so I can start fermenting my food, because most of you have heard me say I don't need one more thing to do or one more place to be, so I'm not fermenting my food. Well, guess what? When we were on our Nebraska trip, eye roll there, she got on Amazon. She's an incredible shopper, and she bought me some. So learn to ferment your own probiotics. You have to go back to some of these things like the glutamine I talked about. You have to have microbials, antimicrobials, like berberine. The CM core is absolutely incredible. Olive leaf is really good. And then you have to have biofilm disruptors, and that helps your body help recognize that as a pathogen and become more targeted. I use nattokinase for that, plus heart issues, but you can also use thyme, or thyme, however how you pronounce it, thyme oil, oregano oil, which is really good, although I can't handle it. Everybody's different. So, yeah, you can do that and just throw it in. Janet gives me Glutashield, and she gives me IG-26, the immunoglobulin, and she gives me SBI Protect, and she gives me at least 100 billion probiotics per night.
Awesome. And then this may tie in a little bit on that same question, but Joe L., which we love you, Joe. You always ask great questions. He really needs some more ideas in gut healing. He's convinced after years of your teaching that his guts need a lot of help. So he didn't expect it to take this long to bring his health to his gut. Oh, that's a good point. Do you realize that it takes 3 months plus a month for every year you've been sick to get well?
At least, but see, the environment is giving us so many toxins, and this stuff is real. The toxins are so real, our polar bears have osteoporosis and thyroid problems. Okay, so it's a daily thing. You never reach the pinnacle of health, or if you do, you have to continue to work to maintain it. And people say, when can I get off this stuff? I said, when you want to go back to how horrible you feel right now.
And his question is a little bit different. He said he doesn't understand why probiotics such as kefir and cultured vegetables seem to cause him more problems. He keeps trying them for the past years, but to no avail, and he often feels a little better when he's off of them. So anyways, he'd love to hear some more on your gut teachings, and he says thank you for all you do.
Well, hey, Joe. On the air, I love you. You're a great, great man. You humble me.
But that's a really good question, is why does that stuff that's supposed to be good for you seem to make you feel worse?
Well, some of them create a histamine reaction, and Janet gives me DAO, and she takes it herself. That's not something we sell a lot of just because most people, I don't know.
Yeah, it's called Hist DAO. It's a Zymogen product, and Zymogen makes fantastic products. They are very skittish about the public buying their product.
Persnickety or a pain in the butt.
Yeah, but they work. And so
yeah,
if you look for that product, make sure you are logged into your account. If you've not asked me to be upgraded, you still won't see it because I have to personally upgrade you for you to see that product. But we take one of those before a meal, and it takes the inflammation out of all of the food.
Diamine oxidase. And we use a lot of beta-glucan. That's going to be the next thing you'll hear a lot of. We've been using it for years. And it's better than the beta-glucan that you get out of your oatmeal. So we use for that, we use the Whole Immune. It has beta-glucan with arabinogalactans. So that's a huge immune system booster and a prebiotic for Brent's question too.
And another Zymogen product that we use when we know we're going to eat something that's got the bad grains in it, the genetically modified stuff.
She means drink a beer that's got grains in it.
Or you're eating a sandwich because you can't get anything else. You're like, oh my gosh, you know this bread's going to be so bad for you. Or Mexican food. Not that anybody would do that. But
we're not racist. We love Hispanics.
There's a product called Immunotics. It's IMM. And we take one of those when we do the bad food, and it basically, my understanding of it, it blows up the bad cells from the genetically modified product. And you really don't feel like you've eaten anything bad. It's really weird. But that stuff is fantastic. It's expensive, but it's fantastic. You only do one of them. Yeah, it is worth it. If you've got bad gut problems and you're bloated, it takes that right out.
And then some of the people that have food allergies to certain things, they can go back and reintroduce some of the foods, and it's like, well, geez, I'm not allergic to it at all. Yeah, well, so, yeah, elimination's good, but you want to heal the gut, and that way it'll, for the most part, work better.
And one thing I wanted to mention, we briefly touched on the measles, very briefly. There is a product that we recommend that if you think you've been or going into an environment where you're going to be exposed to some of these bad things, it's a product called Lauridin, and it's lauric acid, but it's made from coconut oil. So it's a natural plant-based medium chain triglyceride that helps you to stay healthy. And that's the thing that Mama used to give you in Mama's chicken noodle soup that made it work so well. It was the lauric acid, but this is from coconut. And they say that people that are deficient in vitamin A are actually more prone to picking up the measles. So Dr. Lewis and we came up with a couple of products to make sure you're getting enough A. We have a straight vitamin A.
Yeah.
But many of you are already on our Alpha base, which is our multivitamin.
That's a premier premium. Oh my God! But they don't charge like it's premium. And if you're doing 4 a day, you're getting like 7,500 IUs of, and that's with mixed carotenoids. I think that's 2,250 micrograms, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So you're getting plenty if you're taking the Alpha base.
So just take a little more Alpha base, your multivitamin, to help keep your immune system up. So hopefully we've given you some really good tips again today about how to stay healthy and how to get well. And for you guys listening, and you heard about those lab panels, you know they're available throughout the United States. Just go on our website to greenwisdomhealth.com, fill out the health survey. It will recommend you a panel. If you don't like that panel, Dr. Lewis will call you and talk to you and help work through any questions that you have. But we're here to help keep you healthy and get you through this stressful time of the measles. And we appreciate you listening to us again this week, and we'll be here next week with another exciting show. You guys have a very blessed week.
Once again, our show has come to an end, but your hope in your health is only beginning. If you or a loved one are in need of a different outcome and are waiting for a brighter future, take the first step and go to our website and fill out the health survey. Please don't keep us a secret. If you know someone that could benefit from this podcast, please share this show with your friends and family. You're only one step away from a life worth living.